Hey there, welcome to the Chronicle Pregame Show. I'm Hoerger alongside Brian Pollack. We're going to set up for Duke and Louisville. They're going to tip off from the KFC Yum Center at noon on Saturday. And it's really going to be Duke's fourth straight game against a really high-quality opponent. They've really gone through this gauntlet through the heart of the ACC. And so far they're unscathed, 3-0, 2 straight one-point wins. First time that's happened in a really long time. Including 74-73 stunner in Chapel Hill on Wednesday night. They beat the number 5 Tar Heels, really with just 5 guys playing the last 10 minutes, 51 seconds. Duke didn't really sub because Matt Jones went out with an ankle injury, but they hung together, they hung in there, and Grayson Allen made 2 free throws with just over a minute left to put Duke on top for good. Derek Thornton had a key block of Joel Berry in the game's final possession, and Duke really stole a victory in Chapel Hill on Wednesday night, Brian. But that victory did come at a cost because Matt Jones is going to be out on Saturday.
Absolutely, and then that's going to be a key issue for the Blue Devils moving forward. The team announced Friday that the x-rays on Jones' left ankle came back negative, but nonetheless he won't be playing Saturday against the Cardinals. The good thing for Duke is they kind of had experience with that Wednesday in Chapel Hill. Jones injured his ankle early in the first half, and so for those last 30 minutes or so, the Blue Devils were forced to play basically with the same 5 they're going to put out there Saturday, with Chase Jeter getting a few minutes to sub Marshall Plumlee and give him some rest. But it's going to be tricky for Duke. They really don't have any extra help on the perimeter. They don't have any other reserve guards on the roster aside from walk-ons. So Derek Thornton, Luke Kennard, Grayson Allen, they're really going to have to step it up, play through their shooting stretches where the shots aren't going in, and really just kind of tough it out, which is exactly what they did on Wednesday. North Carolina dominated the Blue Devils on the glass and in transition, but somehow Duke was able to hang in there and get that win. So that's the kind of great performance that they're going to need against a Louisville team, I think.
Yeah, definitely. We talked about last season, Brian. The mantra for Duke kind of beat down the stretch became 8 is enough. They had 8 scholarship guys that were eligible. And now that kind of number dwindled down to 7 when Jefferson went out in December. And now it's really down to 6 with Matt Jones going out. So the Blue Devils, like you said, have to show a ton of grit heading into the Yum Center on Saturday. Damion Lee and Trey Lewis are the stars for Louisville. They make that team go. Duke beat Louisville 72-65 in Durham just a couple weeks ago. But Louisville didn't really shoot particularly well in the first half of that game. They shot great in the second half, and Duke really had to hold them off down the stretch. Louisville came back from a 15-point deficit and took a lead in the second half of that game. So Louisville enters the game playing pretty well, actually. They lost Notre Dame after they played Duke, but then they bounced back with a big win against Syracuse. A lot of highlight reel alley-oop dunks in that one. So the Cardinals are a really athletic team. Rick Pitino doesn't go that deep into his bench either, but they've got a bunch of athletes. They got obviously have more depth than Duke does with just the 6 guys. So I think Louisville is really going to come out animated because they haven't beaten Duke as an ACC member yet, and that's something they really want to do on Saturday and get themselves kind of heading towards the end of their regular season on a high note, because they're not going to the postseason, right? They self-imposed a ban a couple weeks ago. So really Duke is one of the highlight games left on their schedule, so I think the Cardinals are going to come out fully ready for them on Saturday. What do you think are the keys to Duke besides just dealing with the depth to taking care of Louisville?
So I think it's going to be defensively on the perimeter. Duke is really going to have to step up. Matt Jones, obviously one of the top perimeter defenders for Duke, and now they're going to be without him. Grayson Allen and Luke Kennard, I think, are the 2 guys in particular that are going to need to step it up, ramp up that defensive intensity. Thornton, as we know, is pretty good on the defensive end, has taken care of some really elite point guards in the ACC. But Thornton and Grayson and Kennard, maybe not as much so. Damion Lee shot 3 of 15 in the team's first meeting a few weeks ago. I would not expect him to do that again. He'll come out and he'll be ready to go. Donovan Mitchell scored 17 in the first meeting. He's another weapon that they can go to, in addition to Trey Lewis. So those 3 guys are going to be really key for the Blue Devils to kind of hunker down with and defend against. And with only those 5 guys, defense can get really difficult as the game goes on. So it's just going to be very important for the Blue Devils to kind of keep up that intensity, whether that means they have to go to a zone and kind of save their legs a little bit, just make sure they don't get worn down so that at the end of the game they still have enough left to get stops.
Yeah, I think that last point you mentioned is really key. When Duke went down to Miami in late January, they played zone for almost the entirety of that game just to try to stay fresh and try to give themselves enough energy at the end of the game. It ended up not paying out because Miami was able to parse through that zone and score pretty easily around the basket. So Duke's been playing pretty well man-to-man of late, but you can only play man-to-man with 5-6 guys for so long before you start to get worn out. So Duke's health and it's just the depth of the bench is going to be really key in determining how close the Blue Devils can keep it on Saturday and ultimately try to get that a 4th straight win against the top 20 team. So with that said, Duke and Louisville are going to tip it off at noon in Kentucky. You can follow our full pregame, postgame, and in-game coverage at DukeChronicle.com or at Duke Basketball on Twitter. For Brian Pollack, I'm Ryan Hoerger. We'll see you guys later.